This program is made possible by American Senior Benefits Wichita is all about your peace of mind. We specialize in asset protecting, safeguarding your health, planning your estate, and preserving your freedom of choice. We're here to work through all of this with you. American Senior Benefits Wichita proudly supports PBS Kansas. The Candle Club, a place where friends, food, and music come together. Currently, we offer live entertainment every night except Sundays. Enjoy our delicious specialty appetizers and the Candle Club Signature Prime Rib. More about upcoming events at candleclubwichita.com. Home Health and Hospice of Kansas is a locally owned and community-based provider. We offer quality health care to our patients and families, complete with love, warmth, and compassion. We'll take care of all of the details for you. For more information, please visit kansashomehealth.com. Welcome to Cedric Plaza Retirement Community. Our living options are designed to suit your specific needs and activities that you're sure to love. We believe you'll be able to see yourself here, enjoying time with friends and family. For more information, visit cedricplaza.org.
Welcome to Empowering Seniors. I'm Katherine Ambrose, and this week we're talking about pet companions. I have with me Dr. Michelle Townsley. Michelle, thank you so much for being on the program.
My pleasure.
Talking about equipping and educating and empowering seniors, what can you share about the general idea of owning a pet?
Anyone who has a pet knows that pets make our lives better, more rich, full. And when you look at statistics on how it benefits seniors, it's even more so. Like, there are so many ways. So physically, our health is improved by having pets. If you have a dog, you have to go outside, you have to walk them, you have to have activity. They give you a sense of being needed, that you need to be there for them. You need to try to make yourself healthier so that you can be there for them. Physical benefits are decreased blood pressure, decreased cholesterol, and increased mobility. So those are all wonderful things for all of us. Anyone who's had a pet, you know that feeling of being cherished by them, being loved by them, and that's a really important feeling when you're by yourself as an older, individual at home. I mean, what better is there than to feel loved and needed?
Sometimes seniors might hesitate to get a pet thinking, I'm too old to replace the animal that just passed, or I'm too old to get a puppy. What would your counsel be to them?
If you can't imagine life without having a companion, you shouldn't go without a companion. I think that sometimes the type of pet you choose is as or most important in that situation. Puppies are probably not the best idea if you're immunocompromised, if you have skin that's going to bruise easily, or if there's going to be trauma from puppies. We know what puppies are like; they can't help themselves. So choosing the right pet. There are wonderful pets, even at the Kansas Humane Society or any shelter in your area, that are seniors themselves that need good homes. And those are often the best pets because they're mature and they're mellow and they're just ready to be just a companion.
Mm-hmm. And so thankful to have
a home,
a loving human looking after them. Mm-hmm. So what kind of advice do you have on how to pick out the right kind of pet companion?
If you have a relationship with a veterinarian, someone who has helped you in the past with medical care, or even a pet trainer, ask their opinion. And if you're looking at someone, maybe you could look into a pet and then take it by there as a exam and find out if this is a good pet, for you, that type of thing.
If people are choosing between a cat or a dog, what kind of information comes into play or thoughts come into play?
If you have mobility challenges and are unable to take your pet out to go potty, then it may be a tiny little dog that's going to go on a potty pad in your home. That happens frequently. Or maybe a cat might be better. There's lots of good options for pet care or pets that need homes.
Speaking of cats, we have the opportunity to talk to Pat Hamblin, a cat lover. Pat, it looks like you're a cat lover.
You could say that, yes. I have 4 at home now, and I wouldn't trade the animals for anything. People should always love an animal. If you can, have one. If that's the only friend you ever have, you'll be lucky, because they are very, very special. And if they love you, they will do anything in the world for you. The animals are so much comfort, or they have been for me when I lost my son and my husband. They get up and they know that you're sad, and they'll get up and get next to you and try to comfort you. They do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the loss of your son and your very recent loss of your husband.
Thank you.
I bet your husband probably is glad that you have your cats that you enjoyed together.
My animals, yes, because he knew I loved them.
Your pets give you a lot of companionship and
yes.
show you a lot of love. And I bet you and your husband had a lot of laughs over the cat antics.
Yes, we have. Because he told me one time when we had the 3, just Angel and Abby and Mickey, and he said, if you get another cat, you want cats more than you want me. Well, when I got Molly, he's still around. He didn't leave. So he didn't mean it.
And I understand that you two did a lot of volunteer work together.
Yes. I got my animals from the Humane Society because when they brought Angel in, they were going to, these people brought her in to have her put to sleep because they belonged to their parents and they were putting them in a nursing home, and they weren't going to let them, or they weren't going to keep the animal so that they could come, the parents could come and see it. They brought it in for so I brought her home. And then I got Abby. And these people brought Abby in. They didn't want her. They weren't sure what was wrong with her. She was almost 4 years old, and she weighed less than 4 pounds. She was a full-grown cat, and she was skin and bone. So I decided I'd bring her home and fatten her up. And they said that they would put her up for adoption. Well, they didn't know what was either wrong with her left front leg. We took an x-ray. It had been broken for 6 to 8 months. It had calcified in the shoulder. Her shoulder didn't move. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't do surgery because she was too malnutrition. And when I took her home, I was going to fatten her up and so forth, and they were going to do the surgery. But you know, I got to thinking about it. It didn't hurt her. She never cried. You could, do anything, and it didn't hurt her. And I thought, why put her through surgery and amputate a leg when it's not hurting her? Because she can get around on the 3 legs, and she does.
Very good. And did you fatten her up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. She actually weighs 8 pounds and something now.
Very good. So I'm thinking about the couple that went to the nursing home and their family took the cat to the Humane Society or an animal shelter. Yeah. So what would you tell seniors that do have a pet about making arrangements ahead of time so they don't end up in a shelter?
Well, they can make sure that their family, and this particular cat they thought was going to get to stay with the children, but the grown children didn't want the cat.
So don't assume that your kids...
No, do not assume. Make sure that you've made arrangements for your cat, because it's very devastating. This cat had been with them all these years, and then all of a sudden just, it's gone. We don't want you anymore. Well, that's just like a child. What if you did that to a child or to a family member? They are a family member.
And I think sometimes people make arrangements for their pet to go somewhere, and then they can still visit the pet, or the pet can come visit them.
And it's with the family that, they could see the pet.
So maybe instead of a family member, it might be a friend or someone else.
Yes.
Okay.
If you've got a neighbor, I have a neighbor. She lost her cat. So I take my cat, Angel, over across the street to her house, And she lets Angel run around in her house, and she pets her and has fun with her. This lady is 80-some years old, and she's by herself. She has no family. She had one brother, and he died, and that's it. Her cat meant a lot to her, and it died about a month ago. So now she has Angel, and she loves
That's very
Angel.
nice. And especially with all the isolation that people have been through.
Yes, and this lady is in her 80s, like I say, and she doesn't go anywhere much anymore. She does drive, but, you know, with this pandemic, she's just not going out and about, so she's stuck in her house 24/7 by herself. And that would get very, very old, and that makes you very lonely, and I don't want her to be that way, so.
And having an animal at home gives you somebody to talk to, somebody to care for.
That's right, and I talk to them all the time. They look at me like I'm crazy, but that's okay.
Well, thank you, Pat, for being on the
You're
show.
welcome. I hope people will also, one of these days, get them an animal. You would be surprised how much company and how much love you get from an animal.
What kind of expense would someone be looking at to add a pet?
Puppies are normally deemed more expensive initially because of the vaccinations and the preventative health care, but it's probably easily around $800 a year that first year, and then from there on probably around $300, $350, plus any medical emergencies or care that would be needed. So that's definitely something to consider, is being able to provide the care for that pet.
Pet food can be very confusing because you get so many mixed messages. What kind of advice do you give pet owners on what's appropriate to feed their animals?
Well, normally what works best for them, you want to go by how palatable it is to them. How large a bowel movement they produce can tell you a lot about the food, and how their hair coat looks. One of the cautions I have is fad diets. You know, like with the grain-free, that has been a huge thing. I do not recommend grain-free diets. And then it depends on the pet you have. If you have a puppy, you know, you're going to want to have different food than if you have a senior pet. You're just going to want to provide the quality food. And I would consult with your family veterinarian. They'll guide you. They'll guide you right.
So Dr. Townsley, what would be some good tips on how to prep your house for getting a pet companion?
Okay, well, it depends again upon the dog that you choose, but I hope that they're getting a nice, mellow dog that is not going to be chewing on everything. But just like for, actually, that's a really good thing about seniors, is they normally do not have all the children toys to be eaten. And you know, normally their homes are less chaotic, and so that's really a safer environment for the pet. When I was thinking about this whole topic, I was thinking about, now from the pet's view, what is the perk of having a senior companion? And you know, when we think about the benefits of seniors having pets, we think about the physical, and we think about the emotional of being loved and being needed. Studies had even shown that people have better recall. So it doesn't just, you know, it actually helps our brains, our ability to have positive thoughts and memories and not be focused just on pain or loss or, you know, these things. It helps us be more social, you know, so that you have opportunities to interact with other people. And I was thinking, all these benefits that we have, that the pet has, or that the people have, the pet has too. So it's just a wonderful thing for the pet to have a senior person. Because if you think about the senior person, they're like doting on their pet. What a lucky pet. A lot of times we find pets here that come into the emergency clinic and we're like, oh, this dog just needs a senior person. It just needs a senior companion to just give it the life that now it needs that it hasn't had.
Let's talk about gifting a pet. Maybe a well-meaning friend or adult child might give a pet to a senior. So let's talk about the pros and cons of that.
I love the idea and I hate the idea. So I love that someone is considering a pet as a companion for the one they love. and they want companionship for that person, and that's a wonderful thing. But a spontaneous buy is not a good plan. So this whole preparedness that we've discussed about preparing your home, it is even more important to have the senior a part of the picking process, or if that's possible. If you've ever, when you pick out your pet, you pick them out because there's that magical bond. It's almost like something like you look at them and they see you and you see them and you're like, I know this is the one that I want to be with, and that, so I think that needs to be part of the process, not just, and please don't buy puppies because they're learning too, and it may be, if you have mobility issues, it can be so challenging to deal with the things that puppies need, the first 6 months for sure.
Dr. Townsley, sometimes we have adult children that might discourage their parent or grandparent from getting a pet. What would you share with them about those concerns?
If a senior would be more happy or content and have enjoyment, there's so many benefits from having a pet. I would just highly encourage them, if their parent or grandparent is really wanting one, help them find the right one, because there's so many benefits. It's definitely worth it. And then help them create a plan. There are organizations even that will help you rehome. There's ways around that. If that's the concern. You don't have to feel guilty or guilted into knowing that you're going to get that pet. It doesn't have to be that way.
It doesn't have to be you.
It doesn't, yeah.
Just have a plan. Michelle, let's talk a little bit more about selecting the right pet, all the things that you should be considering.
Okay. As people have a history and they'll have a breed. I think a lot of times people have bonded with a breed and that's what they grew up with, and that's what they've always had, and that's what they want. But sometimes as seniors, we need to probably find a calmer pet, more mature. Sometimes it's not always about a breed, but it's about a behavior. If you really don't know what that necessarily is, a great idea is to volunteer at a shelter and see what you match up well with, see what works with them. And that's really a good idea if you cannot own a pet. If you do not feel like you have the ability to care for somebody 24/7, it's a really good idea just to go have a couple hours a week. And shelters really need that help. So that's a win-win.
That's a great idea.
And if we think about like not having dogs, there's a lot of wonderful pets that are not needing to go out on a potty break. Like there's cats, rabbits are really good pets. That's something I think that we don't often think of, but you can have some very social rabbits. Guinea pigs are fantastic. But that takes caring of the housing, but it's probably a lot less intensive than having a dog.
And birds. I know a lot of seniors that really enjoy their birds.
Yeah, pets are wonderful. Lots of beauty and just hearing the noise. I think that's a perk of having the birds. Yeah, it's very relaxing, and yeah.
Now let's visit with Dr. Lofgreen. We're in the inner sanctum of the Specialty and Emergency Hospital in Wichita, Kansas, and I'm here with the founder, Dr. Brock Lofgreen. Thank you so much for letting us into the doctor's bullpen here.
Absolutely. We're excited to show it off.
So, Dr. Lofgreen, we're visiting today about pet companions for seniors. So what comes to mind when we mention that?
Empty nesters. A lot of times we do see empty nesters, once their kids are gone, bring in pets into their household. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And, we see a lot of people that really need that bonding experience with the pet and really enjoy that experience. So I do think that it's a wonderful thing if people in those situations can get a pet, and it really does a lot for their mental health, I think.
Doctor, when is a good time to consider bringing your pet in an emergency situation?
Sure. If it's an emergency and you're concerned about your pet, we say bring it in. It is hard to judge sometimes when you're, I'm a veterinarian and have been doing this for my whole career. But, if you're not used to the medical issues that your pet may have, or you're just worried about it, I say bring it in. We'll check it out.
Very good. What are some signs that might alert someone that there might be something wrong?
There's a number of things that we tell people to watch for. If they're having breathing issues, if they're having mentation issues, if they're not able to walk, if they're persistent vomiting, persistent diarrhea, any kind of injury, obviously. We see a lot of toxicities as well, so if your animal's gotten into something.
When it comes to toxicity, what are some of the common factors in people's homes that might cause an accident?
Well, plants, rodenticides, medications, maybe the owner's medications, or the pet's medications for that matter if they get too much of it. Those are very common sources of toxins. And then there's, foods, like spoiled foods can have mold, can cause mold toxicity. Most people know that raisins and chocolate are not good for dogs as well. So there's a number of different toxins that we see on a regular basis.
So let's talk a little bit about people food, because we know some people food might be okay for pets and some might not. So, and people might feel guilty feeding their animal people food. What would you say?
Well, I encourage people not to feed people food. If you can get your pet on a diet that's meant for your pet and they're happy with that, stick with that. If you can't resist the urge, keep it to the low-fat things, mainly carbohydrate type things. Vegetables generally aren't bad. I give my dog frozen green beans and he loves them. So there's things that you can give safely, but what you don't want to give is something, like a pork chop that's full of fat. We see a lot of pancreatitis dogs and dogs that just have general gastroenteritis because they've got a really high fat content or something really rich. So.
Okay, and what about bones?
I strongly discourage bones. We have taken numerous bones out of the stomach of dogs, and so and it can be hard on their teeth too. So we discourage things that are. If you wouldn't chew on it, I wouldn't give it to your dog.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lofgreen. What a treat to be here and to see this beautiful building. And thanks for all you do for our local Kansas pets.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here today.
Now back to Dr. Townsley. So, Dr. Townsley, sometimes a spouse, as an example, might be very excited about a pet and the other one not so much. What do you normally find in those kind of situations when they do end up getting a pet?
That pet bonds with whoever didn't want to get the dog. It really happens that way. They'll wear them down. And, pets, they're just so loving. There is a connection. There is a special connection that we have with our pets. And I just can't see seniors going without that.
Let's talk about the animals that are in shelters. Let's see if we can bust some myths regarding shelter animals.
I feel pretty passionate about that. Oftentimes people feel that pets in shelters are broken or they're there because they're just not as good as other pets or something. They're just the pets that are out in the community. They're just at that moment in the shelter. And so, no, they're wonderful. Shelter is a great place to go to find a pet. And I'm telling you, senior pets in shelters, they're more mature. A lot of people want the little ones or they want the puppies. And so many times you'll have, that 10-year-old shepherd that comes in and that dog just needs a wonderful person to love them, for the next 3 to 5 years or whatever. Senior pets need attention. They need our help. And seniors for seniors, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. So if we've struck a chord with someone, what are some of the community resources that are here in our city and that they might find in other towns across Kansas where they could go to find out more about adopting a pet or serving as a volunteer?
Well, go to the shelters. Just call your local shelter. I keep talking about the Kansas Humane Society because I'm familiar with the Kansas Humane Society and they're amazing. But it really is, wherever you live in Kansas, call your local shelter. You can start out by calling your local vet, your veterinarian, and find out from them, because oftentimes we have pets in our clinic that may have special needs or that someone may not be able to care for anymore, or we might have a pet or two that we need to find a good home for. So that would be a good way to start.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for everything that you do, Dr. Townsley. I understand you work in spay and neuter also. So let's talk about that, spay and neuter.
Okay.
Why
All
is
right.
that important?
Okay, well that's important for the health of the pet for many reasons. It can have decreased cancer, decreased risk. If you don't have an organ, then it can't get infected, so decrease infections. And it really helps with behavior of both male and female dogs, decrease roaming in cats. And I think we leave cats out of a lot of things, but our community cats, we have so many, and that's an area we really need to address. So yes, I do work at Spay Neuter Kansas here in Wichita, and that's a great help to the community.
Thank you, Michelle, for being on the show and for all that you are doing out in our community, and really appreciate your wisdom and advice.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for watching Empowering Seniors. If you have any questions about this topic or anything else we cover on the show, please reach out to me at empoweringseniors@kpts.org, or you can call me at 316-686-4500. I'm Katherine Ambrose. Until next time, thanks for watching.
This program is made possible by American Senior Benefits Wichita is all about your peace of mind. We specialize in asset protecting, safeguarding your health, planning your estate, and preserving your freedom of choice. We're here to work through all of this with you. American Senior Benefits Wichita proudly supports PBS Kansas. The Candle Club, a place where friends, food, and music come together. Currently, we offer live entertainment every night except Sundays. Enjoy our delicious specialty appetizers and the Candle Club Signature Prime Rib. More about upcoming events at candleclubwichita.com. Home Health and Hospice of Kansas is a locally owned and community-based provider. We offer quality health care to our patients and families, complete with love, warmth, and compassion. We'll take care of all of the details for you. For more information, please visit kansashomehealth.com. Welcome to Cedric Plaza Retirement Community. Our living options are designed to suit your specific needs and activities that you're sure to love. We believe you'll be able to see yourself here, enjoying time with friends and family. For more information, visit cedricplaza.org.